And welcome back to New York Sports Wicker Media. I am Watsu-K99. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about Mike Tannenbaum. Yes, Mike the Process Tannenbaum, former New York Jets general manager, now an ESPN television analyst. So, a lot of Jets fans have been kind of down on Tannenbaum in retrospect, which I find kind of interesting, considering he was the general manager of one of the best eras of Jets football that we have seen in our lifetime. So then he left the Jets. He went on to the Dolphins. A lot of people were saying that Tannenbaum, well, he's a cap guy. He's really a lawyer. He's not a real general manager. I mean, you could define a real general manager however you choose. I mean, was Mike McCagnon was a scout. Was he a real general manager because he knew player personnel? I don't think too many Jets fans are going to remember Mike McCagnon very favorably. So I'm watching this video. So Tannenbaum is on ESPN. He's on with Mike Greenberg. He's on the Greeny Show. Get Up. And Greenberg, as we know, is a very huge Jets fan. And he asks Tannenbaum directly, did the Jets, after all these years of mistakes, a franchise that has screwed it up ever since you left, referring to Tannenbaum, did they get it right with Zach Wilson? And Tannenbaum is not the type to basically be very firm. He kind of rides the line a little bit. He's not going to be too rough. He's not going to, it's rare that you hear him criticize anybody. Well, Greenberg asked him this question: did the Jets get it right with Zach Wilson? His answer was a definitive no. No hesitation, just no, just like that. So of course Greenberg looks like he's about to faint. He's about to fall out of his chair. Asks Mr. T to elaborate. And he says, he has one thing that he goes to, Tannenbaum does. Zach Wilson was last in the NFL in completion percentage last year, 32 out of 32 quarterbacks. When your quarterback is completing 55.6% of his passes, there's a ceiling on the offense. Yes, they had a great offseason, he said, but Zach Wilson is just not a quarterback who completes passes, and therefore they did not get it right. He did not talk about ball security. He did not talk about turnovers. He did not talk about escapability, about rushes, about arm strength. None of these things. All he talked about was the completion percentage, as if that is the only standard that an evaluator should use to measure the quality of a quarterback. Well, let's talk about two things here with Zach Wilson's performance. I think one of the biggest criticisms of Zach Wilson has been his short to medium passes. And I'm going to focus here on the intermediate passes, those passes that travel 10 to 20 yards in the air. We're not talking about the Mike White throws, which don't go past the line of scrimmage. So in terms of accuracy, Wilson last year had an adjusted completion percentage. This is over the first, I believe, 8 weeks of the season, 7 to 8 weeks. So an adjusted completion percentage takes into account the throwaways, the batted balls, so those are not going to be factored in. His completion percentage on those intermediate throws was 54.8. 54.8. That ranks 31st out of 34 qualifiers. Then, if you factor in after he came back from his PCL injury, the last 7 weeks of the season, weeks 12 through 18, that adjusted completion percentage went up to 65.9. That was 6th best out of 38 qualifiers. So it went from 31st out of 34 to 6th out of 38. But Mike Tannenbaum is not paying attention to this. He is not factoring in the other factors, shall we say. So let's keep that in mind. And also, I want to talk about the ball security. Because turnovers do count as part of a completion percentage, last I checked. So in his first 6 games, Wilson threw 9 interceptions on 181 pass attempts. So going into week 8, his interception rate was 4.97%, the worst in the NFL, excuse me. Then over his last 7 games, after he came back from the injury that we talked about, Wilson had 202 pass attempts. Do you know how many interceptions he threw? 2. 2 out of 202. That's a 0.99 interception rate. That was the 4th best in the NFL behind 3 guys named Mahomes, Ryan, and Rodgers, all of whom will be Hall of Famers, you would have to think. And another thing I want to talk about is, and there's 2 other factors that Tannenbaum didn't even factor in. The offensive line, I mean, how many times did Zach Wilson have literally 2 to 2.5 seconds to get rid of the football? If your if your offensive line cannot give you a pocket to throw, if they can't give you a good 3 to 4 seconds, it gets a lot harder for a receiver to get open and the quarterback to deliver the ball. And the other thing, and now that you have a completely revamped offensive line, you have George Fant back at left tackle and Connor McGovern at center, but now you've added Laken Tomlinson at left guard. You have Mekhi Becton back on the field and looking very good in practice at right tackle. You moved AVT over to right guard. He is no longer a rookie. He is only getting better. So to me, the improved offensive line is also going to increase Zach Wilson's completion percentage. And another thing is getting rid of the ball. That is one of the really important things I want to see. One of the things that made quarterbacks like Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, those types of quarterbacks, as good as they were, is they could read the defense and just get rid of the ball. They could throw it. They could get rid of it. And Wilson last year took over 3 seconds, basically, to get his motion in and to deliver the ball. So that is another thing that he does have to get a little bit better at, is I want to see a crisp, fluid passing motion. So those are some factors to improve Zach Wilson's completion percentage. And just a reminder to Mike Tannenbaum, you can't just look at one statistic to evaluate a quarterback. Then again, you are an evaluator who drafted the likes of Eric Ainge, Greg McElroy, and traded up to get Mark Sanchez, who is okay, but worth taking at number 5 overall. I don't know about that one. I can't quite say that I was confident. So I don't know how much I can really trust the ability of Mr. T to evaluate a quarterback. So dig a little deeper on that one, Mike. All right, we shall see you later from you know where, the Wicker Chair.